Hi, it's Rich Hoffman here. So it always comes up for, I think, it's a change of the new year kind of thing, where people send each other all kinds of little messages about prosperity in the new year and how success is formulated. And I keep getting all these messages from people, especially on LinkedIn. I'm not crazy about LinkedIn, but it's one of those things. It's like a lot of people use it, and that's how they talk to each other professionally. I get all these messages about success and how success occurs and what teams are all about. And my comments on all that are that teams are usually, or one or two people do all the work, and then the team gets a Super Bowl ring. Most people don't do a whole lot to contribute to success. And that's the way the real world works. And often, and the reason for it is a psychological one on how leadership is implemented in a mass society. When someone tells you that you can't do it alone, you have to have a team of people, what they're talking about is the machine. You can't, machines are built, systems are built, whether it's governments, whether it's industry, whether you're making a movie for entertainment. There's lots of different cogs in the machine to make the machine work. So if you want success, you build a machine that makes success. But leadership is the cogs do what the cogs do. Leadership is pushing the button to make the machine work, or controlling the mechanisms of the machine, making sure the machine gets fuel, making sure the machine gets oil, making sure the machine is turned on when you need it on, whether you turn the machine on fast or you turn it on slow. You still have to have a leader who knows how to push the buttons and pull the levers. But unfortunately, for most people, and this isn't a knock on most people, but they enter their adult lives, they were trained in socialism throughout their entire public education. They go to college, you get more socialism. They don't come out and call it socialism, they just call it mass collectivism. If you want to understand to what level that was, go back to Mondami's speech in New York when he was sworn in as mayor, and he said, rugged individualism is over, and I think it's exactly what he said. The age of rugged individualism is over, where the warm blanket of collectivism will take its place. That's what people who are not rugged individualists, they train themselves to be nice little gears in the machine, and they go to get educations to become those gears. It might be big gears, might be small gears, but there's all kinds of elements in the machine. When you're trying to create an institutional premise, everybody becomes a cog in that machine in some degree. And again, it takes all of them to make a machine work. You can't take a little bitty cog out and take it away and expect the machine to work. They all have their place in the machine when you build the machine. Leadership is operating the machine. Good leaders, if you don't have a good leader who can run the machine and pull the levers and make the machine do what it's supposed to do, you're not going to be very successful. So you can replace cogs in and out of the machine. You can take this big cog, it's got wore out gears, and put a new one in, and the machine will still run. As long as everybody's doing their thing on the cogs in the machine are running, you'll get success as long as someone's pulling the levers to make it work. So when people train to be what they're going to be in life, they don't typically go out and train to be good, successful leaders. Leadership takes courage, imagination, all kinds of intuitive skills that are developed from a well-lived life, typically not in a safe way, because that's how you know how to pull the levers on the machine. It's more important to have good leadership to know how to pull the levers and when than to just be the cog in the machine. But most people train their whole lives to be cogs because it's the warm blanket of collectivism. It gives everybody a sense of success to be a part of the machine. So they train themselves to be a big cog or a little cog or a medium cog or some cog in that machine. And then they offer themselves up for employment to fit in somewhere. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're inclined to do. But don't think that success is based on the cogs in the machine. Cogs in the machine can be replaced over and over again. They all do their bit. Some take higher stresses than others. Some have minimal degree, but they all are required, if that's the way the machine is designed to run, they're all required to make success happen. And from that perspective, it's a shared success kind of thing. But when the machine runs and how fast it runs and how long it runs is determined by leadership. And all the cogs in the machine are dependent on a good leader to know how to pull the levers. Because without that, a machine could just sit there and do nothing. A machine could be the best machine in the world, but if it doesn't have leadership driving it, and leadership doesn't come from collective consensus. Leadership comes from rugged individualism. And that's been the secret sauce of American society from the beginning, when it's been said about the Maduro invasion in Venezuela, and that American oil companies are going to go down there and fix it all up. Well, why couldn't they fix it up during Maduro's reign? And they lost all this great infrastructure. Why are most of the places in the world poor? Because they lack American leadership, or they're not necessarily American. They lack leadership, this understanding that it takes individuals with great foresight to run the machines of the world, because machines don't run themselves. You can have the greatest machine in the world sitting right here, and if nobody knows how to pull the levers and turn it on and give it fuel, then it's just going to die. And it doesn't mean leadership is not the same as being a cog in the wheel. And again, there's lots of cogs in the wheel that say I'm so important because I'm a big cog and I make all these gears move, but if there's not some leadership there to drive the cog to turn, then it's not going to do anything, and it's going to be sitting there forever doing nothing. And most of the world isn't doing a whole lot because it lacks that rugged individualism to drive the leadership culture to turn the cogs. So if you have a society of people that train themselves to be cogs because it's safe to be inside the machine, and they hire themselves out to be elements of the machine of institutionalism, that's not the same thing as leadership that wins and propels success in the world. That comes from rugged individualism. Usually it's a single person who pushes the buttons on the machine, pulls levers, and makes sure the machine is fueled up and ready to do what it needs to do. The machine itself doesn't get the credit. The machine is there as an instrument for the leadership that drives it, that makes it work, that pulls the levers to make it happen. So when we talk about success in the world, most of the people saying those things are little rah-rah speeches they give to themselves to make themselves feel like they're more important than they really are in the machines of society, because they train themselves to be cogs in that wheel, in that geared mechanism that makes society go. But they illusion themselves by thinking that they don't pay attention to how the machine actually works and who pushes the buttons, because that's where the success comes from. And a failure to understand that is a failure to understand the protocols of success as they exist. And it maintains an illusion that success can be enjoyed by all because it's a collective effort, and it's not. It's a collective effort to do the work. It's not a collective effort to decide to turn on the machine and make it do something. So still in the world, you need rugged individualism that can identify the needs, and then they find the machine or build the machine that can do it. And then they go out and get cogs of the wheel to make the machine work. But the success and the effort and all the cascading effects of that endeavor are created by leadership and the necessity of it, which is often driven by individual input and recognition from unique people who aren't cogs inside the machine. They're outside the machine looking at the conditions for which the machine can be applied. And that's where leadership comes in, and that's why leadership is one of those elusive traits that most everybody in the world doesn't understand, because most everybody in the world have developed themselves into cogs within a machine because it's safe, and that's the elements of collectivism which they were taught all their lives was going to bring them success. And if you're lucky enough to be a machine that is being run by an innovative leader then you'll have success. I always joke about the on teams, sports teams. You watch all these NFL playoff games or college football games, and there's a whole bunch of people who are on the team. So a whole lot of people, the ball boy, the water carriers, and all the people that are on the team, they all want a Super Bowl ring. But it's only usually 2 or 3 people on any team that do the big plays that actually win the game, and everybody else benefits from it because they're just cogs in the wheel. They're just members of the team, and by association, they're going to get a Super Bowl ring if they happen to be lucky enough to be a part of an organization that's winning. But the victories don't come from all the different elements. You could trade the gears of the machine out constantly over and over again. It's the innovation of the leadership within that makes it all happen. You see it in organizations all the time where they think, oh, I'm in love with this particular gear inside the machine. Oh, this gear is going to go bad on me if I don't give it more grease or lubricate it. If I don't pay them more money, if they just disappear, the machine won't work. The thing is, you can trade out those gears. You can go get another gear. If you understand how the machine needs to work and you have good leadership that knows how to pull the levers, you can replace the cogs all day long. You just have to make sure the machine is still running. But you can trade out the parts in infinite ways and still get the same thing done. And that's why some teams win constantly over and over again, or some organizations are more victorious than others because they don't get hung up on the cogs and the wheels within the machine. Because leadership, as long as it stays consistent and understands how to pull the levers, will continue to win and bring success to all those who happen to be lucky enough to benefit from being associated with good leadership. And that's what a lot of people don't say. They certainly don't say that on LinkedIn because they don't understand it themselves, because it's really a lot of cogs within the machine that are trying to give themselves more of a feeling of their self-importance than they deserve. And that's not to be mean to them. It's just, if you don't invest yourself into being a great leader and a visionary that has great significance, if you're just a part of the machine, then that's all you're ever going to get as recognition for actually contributing to success. You don't get a participation trophy for just showing up and cascading yourself to success, when it was leadership and someone else pulling the levers that made it all successful to begin with. And you just happen to be in the vicinity when it happened. And that's the case with most people. Some people get really lucky, and some people spend their whole lives trying to get lucky, but leadership is the deciding factor as to whether or not mass groups actually achieve success or spend the rest of their lives looking for it. And that's kind of the heart of the matter. And a good lesson in success management and who gets it and who doesn't. Anyway, it's Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe. Make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.